Welcome to a special edition of Morning Market Call. I'm your host, Rhett Weller, here today with Michelle and Sunshine. How are you guys doing?
Doing great.
Great. So I understand you all did an amazing project for Honors Week. Sunshine, tell me about it a little bit.
Well, we interviewed students and faculty just to get their perspectives about integrity and ethics, essentially, in the business world.
Great. And I understand we have a really cool video we're going to watch about it?
Yeah.
All right, let's see what that looks like.
Integrity. Integrity has to do with the consistency between how we behave and how we say we believe. And I find that in life, we often don't realize when the test of our integrity is coming. It's often in seemingly small things where a little dishonesty, a little bending of the rules might seem to lead to a good outcome, that we find out the most about whether we are a person of integrity, whether our behavior and our choices are actually consistent with the beliefs that we espouse. And being a BYU student, a Marriott School student, we have handed to us a set of beliefs that others expect of us.
For me, integrity means just to do the right thing, as small as it is.
Integrity is always doing the right thing.
Integrity is doing the right thing when no one's looking.
Integrity is all about being able to have a self-accounting at the end of the day and say, I did the very best I could.
It's following the things that you've learned to be true to the end.
President Hinckley gave a great talk probably 15 years ago that in priesthood session where he talked about are you a pig who wallows in the mud, or are you an eagle who soars to high heights when you have free time? How do you spend your free time? When you have nothing else to do, what do you choose to do? And to me, that's a really important signal of your level of integrity. Where does your mind go? Where is your heart? Where are your behaviors?
I think when you look at someone, you can see how that person reacts on different situations. So if that person is one person with me and another person with another situation, then I would say that that person does not have integrity.
Honor to me means your ability to follow the things that you know are right and just maintain congruence between what you're doing when you're alone, when you're with people, when in any situation.
I've read an article about an analogy with a steel. A steel is only strong if there is no flaw, no imperfection in it. So I think it has a lot to do with that. Integrity is like, are my values strong? Because if I stand with what I believe in, if I stand with the values that is important to me and stick with that, that is, I think, what integrity is. And
why is it essential? Well, I've gotten a pretty good authority that if you don't have integrity and you aren't honest in your dealings, you go to hell. And going to hell, that's just not in the cards, especially for who we are and what we stand for. It's certainly not an aspirational position to be in.
What really differentiates integrity is when there is a conflict of interest, we still do what is right, and that's what separates a man with integrity from somebody who's not grounded in moral and ethical values.
Integrity is consistency, honesty, and not being two-sided.
Knowing who you are, knowing what your commitments are, and being willing to follow them and keep them no matter what.
Never had a situation where the gains from being dishonest were greater than the, I guess, peace that you feel from knowing that you did what was honest.
I know that ethics relates to a lot of different dimensions of organizational work, but for me, it goes right to the heart of trust, which is fundamental to successful organizational work.
Customers want to be able to trust the businesses that they're interacting with. And if they believe that, well, just like in any relationship, if you don't have trust, then you don't have anything.
I think ethics plays a role in everything that you do, from your expense reports up until the way you deal with clients. And I think from the lowest things, like the kinds of things that you do on expense reports, people I knew who they'd walk home from work and charge that to a taxi fare to get the money in. I think it's as little as that up to the big things, and if you don't manage those little things well, then you'll mess up on the big things.
Following your convictions and making sure that your convictions match with what you do in the business world is what integrity is all about to me.
There are a lot of things that we think about every day, and we think about them as business decisions, as marketing or HR decisions, or whatever kind of decision that they are, and that sometimes can obscure or cloud over some of the ethical implications of the things that are happening day to day. So my suggestion is, in every situation, ask yourself, if I were not in this scenario, if it were not an HR or a marketing or another kind of an issue, would there be any kind of ethical quandaries that I would find myself in that would lead me to question whether or not this behavior is acceptable?
Oh, 2 thumbs way up for integrity. I think it's worth striving for.
Wow, that was pretty inspirational. I enjoyed it. So what did you learn doing that project?
I think for me it was just really cool to see how much people cared about integrity. Like every time we'd ask someone for their comment, they'd really think about it, and they'd be like, "Oh, give me just a minute," because it meant a lot to them. It was kind of cool.
Michelle?
Yeah, that was actually what I was thinking as well, because it was something that it took them a long time to actually be able to verbalize, because it was something that was so deeply held within them. So I think it was cool to see that.
Well, I've got to tell you, I'm a little moved seeing such great thoughts about integrity from our MBA students and faculty. That's it for this edition of Morning Market Call. You can find more episodes at morningmarketcall.org. Thanks for coming by.
MMC is brought to you by the Marriott School of Management in association with the Brigham Young University Department of Communications. MNC is made possible by a generous donation from Larry Tasjan and Gary Williams, and is produced by Rhett Weller, Todd Castagna, Mason Chen, Joel Tovey, and Sabrina Beck, with line producing by Kika Latu. For more information, find us on our Facebook and Twitter or at morningmarketcall.org.